Every year millions, if not billions of individuals make New Year's Day resolutions to eat right, get fit and reduce, and most have abandoned them by March 31st at the newest. Here are the highest reasons for his or her failure and the way you'll avoid making these same mistakes year after year. 1. Fitness, health and nutritional habits. Before you even set your fitness goals or weight loss goals for the new year, you initially got to understand how you bought into the form you're currently in. Unless you've got a chronic condition or have suffered a serious accident, you are not a victim of anything, and nobody else caused you to be out of shape or overweight. It's imperative that you simply understand it is your personal habits that led you to your current state. You made choices right along the way, and therefore the choices you remodeled and over became your default, your habits. Your habits led to your current lifestyle, what you eat, how much, and the way often you exercise, and what weight and therefore the fat percentage you're willing to hold around with you each day. That's the bad news, so now here's the great news: you created those habits, and you'll change them starting immediately today. Changing your exercise habits or nutritional habits starts with small choices, and over time those choices add up. Plus, when repeated over and over they become your new habits. Yes, this suggests you would like to place a touch more thought into routine daily tasks. But you are not satisfied together with your current state of health, your fitness, otherwise your current body fat levels, or you wouldn't be making these New Year's Day resolutions. So put therein extra thought and make the alternatives that assist you to keep these promises to yourself. 2. Not making time to exercise. When it involves understanding you do not take the time, you create the time. One of the few universal values we all share is that we all have an equivalent 168 hours per week and that we all get to settle on what we do with those 168 hours. Consider people like Donald Trump, Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Louise L. Hay, or Les Brown, and everyone they accomplish in any given week, yet they only have an equivalent number of hours that week as you are doing. The busiest and laziest people you recognize have 168 hours every week too. The only difference between them and you is priorities. You employ some time in proportion to the importance you give each activity. So if getting into shape, being healthy and weight loss is sufficiently important to you, you'll make the time for sufficient exercise to accomplish your goal of getting back in shape and staying in shape. Don't attempt to tell me you do not have enough time. We all have an equivalent amount of your time, and you already know people in your situation who have time to hit the gym, choose a run or take exercise classes, don't you? What you actually mean is your current activities already fill your schedule, right? And that's the most important reason exercise resolutions get broken year after year, trying to suit 3 to 5 workouts every week into an already overcrowded schedule. It's like trying to pour another cup of water into a full glass. It won't enter, but instead will make a multitude, right? And that is what happens when people attempt to add in exercise time to a full schedule. It makes a multitude of their week. So how does one solve this one? Simple. Decide what to require out of your schedule to form time to exercise. Search for the apparent time hogs first: watching television, spending an excessive amount of time on the web, playing computer games, hitting the bars and clubs, etc. Everyone I do know spends time, a minimum of one among those 4, and that I assume an equivalent are often said about you, right? So now you've got to make a decision where you'll trim the time for 3 or more exercise sessions per week. Remember, the choices got to be made supported your priorities. Is your health more important to you than those reality shows, time on Facebook and Google+, beating a subsequent level of wow, or knocking back a couple of drinks at the bar quite so often? For best results, don't eliminate anything you truly like to do, or you'll harbor resentment towards your workouts and your own subconscious will sabotage your workouts. Instead, cut out what you actually don't care about, and if you would like to form longer still, then reduce the activities you enjoy only enough to release the time you would like. Taking just 20 minutes each day from each of 3 leisure pastimes gives you that hour each day, as does skipping 1 television program each day. You have already got the time. Now just release enough of it for your exercising, and choose beforehand where the time's coming from so there is no conflict hebdomadally. 3. Not setting a sensible pace. Let's check out a standard pair of weight loss and fitness goals: losing 20 pounds of body fat next year and adding 20 pounds of muscle next year. Either one can make a serious change in your health and body image while boosting your self-confidence and energy levels. The most important problem is way too many of us suddenly jump into the gym and begin lifting weights like a fiend to create muscle fast, or drastically cut their calorie intake thinking they have to drop all 20 pounds within the first month or two. If you probably did either of those last years, how did you qualify at the beginning of this year? If you are like most of the people, you were even beyond your goals this year than last. The issue here isn't your goals, both are reasonably achievable. The difficulty may be a sudden change in your diet and/or exercise routine. Why the rush? In most cases it took years to urge to the form you're currently in, so don't attempt to change it overnight. To lose 20 pounds next year, start with one chicken feed to a healthier diet hebdomadally. To feature 20 pounds of muscle, start light with the 7 compound exercises and add one more rep to every set hebdomadally and add one new exercise a month. Albeit you didn't start to ascertain any weight loss or muscle gain within the first 7 months, you'd still only got to drop 1 pound of fat or gain 1 pound of muscle per week from August on to still meet your goals for the year. Put differently, gaining or losing just 1/2 pound every week throughout the year would be 26 pounds for the year. You'd have surpassed your goal by 30%. Getting and keeping a healthy lifestyle may be a lifelong pursuit, so remember that health, fitness, and weight maintenance are marathons, not sprints. 4. Not setting reasonable goals. Sure, every woman at some point wants to be a size 0 and each guy wants to become a Herculean champion. Except for most of the people, that's just not getting to happen regardless of what they are doing. We're all born with pre-set genetics that, to at least one extent or another, predetermine what our ultimate limits are. But the great news is everyone can still do an awful lot to enhance themselves before hitting those top limits. Actually, only a few people, including pro athletes, never reach the purpose where they determine what their limits are. So set reasonable goals, supported where you're at now. If you're getting to reduce, determine what your body fat levels are and decide to lose 10% or 25% of that over the year. Notice I didn't say a percentage of your weight, but a percentage of your body fat. This is often important because your body features a lot of weight it needs: muscles, organs, skeletal bones, blood, brain, and therefore the like. So for instance, if you've got 30% body fat and you weigh 250 pounds, your fat weighs 75 pounds and your goal would be to lose 7.5 to 19 pounds over the year. If you weigh 120 pounds with 30% body fat, your fat weighs 36 pounds and your goal would be to burn off 3.6 to 9 pounds. If you're lifting weights to create muscle or build strength, the thought is even simpler. Don't say, I want to realize X pounds of lean muscle, or, I want to squat, deadlift, bench X pounds. Instead, aim for the simplest gains you'll safely and fairly achieve. The simplest you'll do with no drugs, proper form, strict lifting without using momentum, etc. to create the muscle. Attempt to add 1 rep to every set hebdomadally while increasing the load you're using once a month. To create strength, add a touch more weight to every of your work sets anytime you'll while still maintaining proper form. Either way, aren't getting hung abreast of the load getting used or drawn into comparisons with others. Focus just on your personal progress because the year progresses. 5. Not enough self-confidence. When one sets realistic goals to create muscles or reduce and truly believes they will achieve and overreach those goals, it's easier for them to remain on target. For others, though, it's normal for them to hunt refuge within the knowledge that they couldn't reach their goals regardless of what they did. How often have you ever heard someone say, I've tried everything and zip works? The reality is not anyone has tried everything. Overcoming this one is tougher since your self-talk programs your subconscious, which successively controls your urges and confidence. If you're one among these people, find an accountability coach like a weight loss coach or a private trainer. Knowing they'll offer you a tough time if you miss a session, that they will expect you to point out up which you will be paying for his or her time whether you show up or not will greatly increase the probabilities you'll stay track. Another option is to seek out someone with similar goals to reduce or build muscle and keep one another on target. You'll still need some self-discipline to point out up once they don't use their actions as permission to abate yourself. And be prepared to exchange your partner, or add in another person, if you discover they are not as committed as you're. Nobody but you ought to be setting your pace or be responsible for your results.